6 games. That Alex Jones podcast might be just as long as ours. What's going on, everybody? Here we are, the end of February. Thursday, February 28th. Coming off a monster slate last night with the late-breaking news of Giannis being on a minutes limit and then looking like garbage. And that game going to overtime. Just a real mess yesterday. Nothing good. Nothing good.
Nope. I had like 5 great days in a row.
Yeah.
And I'd say I gave a decent amount back yesterday. Not all of it, but a decent amount. I had a pretty awful day. I also had some Karis LeVert.
Yeah, you and me both.
What a rat. What a rat he is, huh?
Do you know it was his bobblehead night yesterday? Even worse, man.
I hope everyone just never mind. What a bad performance. Wasted my 100% Buddy Hield. You know,
Did you really?
I didn't play 150,
sure.
But still wasted having Buddy Hield in literally every single lineup.
Yeah, wasted 50% Towns for me.
What a disaster, huh?
Yeah. Oh God.
I hope other people did well. I mean, we just got a tweet from someone that won like 43,000 last night, so that's good.
Happy for them for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. But
we fail so others can succeed.
Yeah, it was just one of those nights. I made up for some of it in the late slate, but not enough. I played some Anthony Davis because he was 7,200. I'm like, if he plays 23 minutes, he could go for 50. It's not crazy. He didn't, but he could have, but he didn't.
Bogdanovich, 57.6 FanDuel points last night in 43 minutes.
Huge. That was one of the reasons why I made up for a bunch of it, or some of it in the late slate. Yeah. And then Rondo, man.
41
Rondo
minutes, I think he played.
I don't even know.
37.5, sorry.
I don't know if you were asleep by then, but
I certainly was.
It got announced like 30 seconds prior to the game starting that they were starting Rondo.
Yeah. Actually, no. I was awake. I was sitting at my desk because I got the pop-up from DK, and it was like, Rajon Rondo will start for JaVale McGee. And I was like, what?
Yep. I tried to get as many changes from Peyton to Rondo as I could, but only got in like 2.
Yeah. I feel like Rondo is the perfect guy. He's like the poster boy for that sort of move on a night where, he plays like 20 minutes for 3 straight games, and then 2 minutes before lock, you get news that he's going to start instead of the center. And then he plays 38 minutes, and you're just like, of course. Why wouldn't I have seen that throughout the day?
And then Giannis looks like dog shit, only plays, limited minutes, doesn't play in overtime.
Middleton goes down.
Dude, I was excited for Giannis in this matchup. It was such, I was saying this on the deeper dive. I think I said it in my article too, but you look at points in the paint allowed. Kings are one of the worst in the league. You look at fast break points, one of the worst in the league. Rebounding, the worst in the league to opponents. Like everything lined up so this matchup would, just be like a 70 banger for Giannis. Nope. 32. Crazy, man.
Yeah, I would have liked that news to come out slightly later just because of where I was, but other than that, it was fine on FanDuel, I guess. Just a weird day. Dwayne Wade hits like the ugliest, coolest buzzer beater ever.
That was awesome, man. I was so happy. That defense, by the way.
Yeah, what do you like? Jordan Bell can't do any more there.
That, not just Bell. He drives into the paint. They double him. No, there's nothing there. Smothered, right? Almost loses the ball. Kicks it back out. Gets it back because there was no shot. I forget who he passed it to. Totally sealed him off. Gets his shot blocked. Was it Bell that blocked it?
I'm almost positive the answer is
So
yes.
gets his shot blocked, gets it back, still doesn't have a good shot, steps behind the line, and off of 1 foot and 1 hand, shot puts it into the net. It was pretty awesome. Like, it was, I think I tweeted this, but I think it's one of the best moments of this season so far.
For sure. And it's a perfect sort of like NBA play that describes DFS and the reason why we recommend playing multiple
100%.
lineups
100%.
and recommend, randomness, understanding that things happen and it's not just binary. And it's not like a one-to-one comparison, but I think about it a lot in situations like this, or in the situation where, Kyrie hits the 3 to win the NBA title.
Yep.
And that shot alone changes the way that everyone speaks about everything moving forward. The Cavs are somehow winners. The Warriors are somehow losers in that scenario because Kyrie hits a 3 that's like a 30% shot. Like in the mug, deep, whatever. But because that goes in, it changes the rest of the story. Everything before it gets thrown out.
I mean, Dwayne Wade's shot was I tweeted this yesterday, but it was literally the worst shot he could have gotten off. Like the Warriors defense, they gave him the worst possible shot.
Yep.
And he hit it.
Yeah, that's why sometimes you just need more bites because it's like basically he pushed in with garbage cards and he outdrew pocket aces basically.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm not sure how many lineups I would have. I mean, if you had 150 and your core consisted of a lot of the guys that we just talked about, you're always going to have a shot. You have a couple, maybe like you had 10%, 15% Bogdanovich or something, but not being able to get Rondo in is a killer. Not that anyone else did, but still, like, it was just one of those nights where, like, if you had a couple extra minutes upon getting that Lakers news or the Giannis news dropped a little bit earlier, that actually, I'll be honest, with the Giannis news, then we can move on here. But I'll straight up with the Giannis news, in some spots, I was like, I'm just going to roll it anyway. I assume it freaked everybody out. When I see monitor minutes, I'm like, okay, that's bullshit. They always say they're going to monitor minutes and then they give them their full run.
Right.
But it didn't happen. And sometimes it doesn't. I've had great results with saying I'm going to play him anyway. I've seen him say we're going to limit Bradley or monitor Bradley Beal's minutes and he still plays 40. So you win some, you lose some.
When they monitor Bradley Beal's minutes, they're basically just watching this number go up. They're like, yo, that's a lot of minutes. All right, back to him playing minutes.
Right.
They're keeping an eye on the number going up, but they don't plan on stopping it.
Exactly. You're literally monitoring it by watching it. Yeah.
Alrighty. So let's get the housekeeping out of the way. NBA Strategy is the promo code. 50% off your first month with us. You can choose any package you would like, including stuff with Fantasy Cruncher, and you'll get 50% off for the first month. Shout out to Thrive Fantasy. A special shout out to Thrive Fantasy. Even though they're not technically on for Thursdays, they gave everybody that signed up yesterday a free $5. No deposit necessary. Pretty cool. So shout out to Thrive. Cool. Good peeps. Can't be free money. Got 6 games today. A relatively normal slate in that, we don't have anything too crazy, but we do get to talk about the lovely New York Knicks, so I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, I'm not. I did it. We talked about it on the Early Bird podcast, and it's miserable, man.
Yes, it is. I started doing the minutes, and I was just like, I don't care. I need to have a conversation with someone because if I try to do this on my own, like, it's useless.
Yeah, it's miserable. It's not. It's use. We could talk about it for an hour, and it's still useless. We did talk about it for damn near an hour on Tuesday, and it's still pretty useless.
Turned out pretty useless for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but we do have other teams to talk about, so let's dive in.
Let's do it.
Indiana Pacers hosting the Minnesota Timberwolves. 112.75 implied total for the Pacers, 108.25 for the Wolves. So 4.5-point favorites in Indiana. A little bit of a pace-up spot for the Pacers. No Sabonis. I assume Tyreek Evans plays today. It does not matter whatsoever. Unless you're a really big Corey Joseph fan. Otherwise, he shouldn't have too much of an impact. Miles Turner, pretty chalky on DK. 6K only. 30% expected ownership. He's 7,300 on FanDuel, $25 on Yahoo. It's really hard to not think Miles Turner's a fantastic play.
Yeah, I didn't really understand how his price could come down even more so than it did since last time out. It's quite strange, really. But there he is. He's cheap, and you're going to have to get some in there.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, in this matchup, you're not terribly concerned about it. I mean, that would be the first thing here. We just saw, what was it? What did they face last night? The Hawks? Was it the Hawks? Minnesota?
Yes.
Yeah, all right. It's still early. And this is not a front court that is terribly imposing when you're talking about opposing bigs. I think it's actually a perfectly fine spot.
Yeah.
I mean, Dedmon played 19 minutes, had 7, 10, and 3, and he fouled out in those 19 minutes. I really don't worry much about Minnesota's front court. Karl-Anthony Towns is a phenomenal player, but defensively, he's really not a stalwart by any stretch. So
no, and they haven't been playing Gorgeous Dong, so
right,
they really don't have like a true five. I mean, Towns is a true offense. He's not even a true offensive five.
You get 32 minutes, 31 minutes from Turner at 6K. It's pretty hard to overlook that.
Yep.
You know, especially you take his per minute numbers; they're not bad at all. Well over a minute, and I would also expect this game to stay competitive. There's no reason it shouldn't.
Yeah.
I think Indy's favored by 4 at home.
Yep.
Yeah, no, Turner's a very good play, but aside from him, you're getting into like Thaddeus Young. I think Thaddeus Young is a very reasonable option. Darren Collison, also very reasonable.
Yep.
But it's hard, and even like a Bogdanovich, because once we get to these wing positions, it's pretty ugly. But I don't know if there's anyone other than Turner that stands out as just like a real gem.
In terms of like an upside guy, yeah, I agree. I like Thad Young quite a bit, but and I have him like relatively comparable to Miles Turner, but they certainly have very different ceilings. The width of what you can get out of Turner is much bigger than what you can get out of Thad Young. I'm fine with Collison. He's a little bit more popular than I would like. I'm fine with Bojan. He's a little bit more popular than I would like. But those are the 4 guys that I'll have from the Pacers. And if Tyreek Evans gets ruled out, Corey Joseph on FanDuel would be a guy that I'd be looking at as a potential punt.
Yeah, I think
he played
so.
31 minutes or something last night.
Joseph, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he's going to get 30 minutes in $100 more than minimum salary on FanDuel, even though he is not a fantasy player whatsoever, he's a much better basketball player than DFS player. You can't turn that down.
No, not at all. 32 minutes, actually.
Yeah.
By the way, I did want to mention something. We have 6 games. Teams on back-to-backs. Minnesota, Indiana, Golden State, Miami, Houston, Utah. I think we've got 6 of 12 on back-to-backs today.
That's fun.
What'd you say?
That's real fun.
Yeah, that's significant though.
It's just it makes for like a really shitty problem at 6:30 when guys start dropping like flies because they played yesterday.
Right, and the reason is it D'Antoni and company said that Chris Paul would play.
Yeah, I bet they did.
Both
you see how many minutes Capella played last night?
How many?
41.
There you go. Right, there you go. Like, how do we know But actually, so they won that game. Now they face Miami at home. That was on the road against Charlotte. I wouldn't be surprised if Chris Paul is like a late addition to the inactive list. I really wouldn't be surprised. We got to pay attention to that, man.
The problem is Shumpert and Fareed are both still questionable, and if those guys are out, they just can't sit Paul. They physically don't have enough people to play.
Yeah, I mean they do, but it wouldn't be fun.
Well, yeah, I mean the bottom 5 guys on the roster for the Rockets don't necessarily count.
I mean, shit, they were
D'Antoni
using
doesn't exactly dress them with like the intent to
but
play
they were using Hartenstein and Clark in like a pretty heavy fashion at one point, which is crazy to actually think about.
Yeah.
And
then D'Antoni was just like, I'm gonna stop doing that shit now.
Yep.
Hey Clint, are you back? Yeah, I'm back. How you feeling? You know what? Honestly, coach, not that great. All right, here's 41.
Seriously, man. But another thing is they just recalled Chris, is it Chiozza, from the G League. He's a point guard, and they did that 2 days ago. So
I have no idea who that is.
All you have to know is they recalled him, and he's a point guard.
I don't recall him.
Another thing, dude. Look at these injuries. Rubio's doubtful. Whiteside and James Johnson are out. Fareed and Shumpert, as you just noted, are questionable. Embiid is still out. DeAndre Jordan, Hezonja are out. Thompson's out. Ntilikina's still out. What's that?
Boban?
Yeah. Luol Deng, Jeff Teague, Tyreek Evans, all questionable. Sabonis out. For a 6-gamer, we got a decent amount of injuries before we even get started.
We really do. I assume. Do you have any interest in Kyle O'Quinn at 4K on DraftKings?
I had mentioned on the Early Bird podcast that I would wait until, because we recorded pretty early, that I'd wait to see how many minutes he got.
Not a lot.
Well, after seeing, and that's why I was, I was hesitant to pull the trigger there. No, I'm okay. I hadn't looked at the game flow until pulling it up right now. We should probably go through this because O'Quinn came in, and it looks like Thaddeus John Joseph, TJ Leaf. Yeah, so Leaf got some minutes at the 5 in this game,
which Adam and I laughed about yesterday. And said,
what, oh, hey, maybe Leaf will get some minutes at the 5?
Nope, exact opposite. Saying very specifically that Leaf never plays the 5, and all the backup center minutes should go to Kyle O'Quinn.
Oh, well, Leaf got some minutes at the 5.
Yep, of course he did.
Yeah.
Honestly, whatever I say, when it comes to me making a take, not just general conversation, when I say something and I make it sound like it's fact, it is in my head, and it immediately becomes fiction and becomes fact to everyone else. Whatever I touch turns to the opposite.
Look, I feel the same way. A lot of times I do. At least it appears that way at times.
Yeah.
Like the other day, Moutier and Smith haven't been playing alongside each other at all. Yep. And Moutier and Smith play alongside each other a decent amount. Look, we can only go off the past information that we've been given. That's the thing. I had a conversation on Twitter the other day with someone about that, and he said Fizdale had mentioned that he would like to play them alongside each other, but he hadn't done it yet. I said, yeah, look, he wanted to, but Fizdale, it's like Fizdale acts like he doesn't have control of the team. Oh, I'd love to do this. Not sure I can, but I'd love to, and maybe one day I can. It's like, no, you literally control who plays and who doesn't.
Yeah.
But we hadn't seen it up until that point, so it's hard to say.
All right, Minnesota side. I don't have anything super hot takey for Towns. I will just simply have more than the public. We have them at 8% and 9% in FanDuel and DK respectively. I will have 2 to 3 times that. I love Karl Anthony Towns. He's one of my favorite plays today.
Okay. I don't mind him. I don't love him, though. I liked him a lot more the last 2 nights. You have Westbrook on this slate. You have Harden. Again, keep an eye out for Chris Paul news. Would not be surprised if Chris Paul is either limited or out, but as of now, he's expected to play. There's a decent amount of high priced guys here. Jeff Teague's probable, so
Yeah.
that's the only thing that I don't like. Uh, if it's not that Teague can't, or it's not that Towns can't have a very solid game. And by the way, I saw somewhere that Teague was probable last night. Now it looks like it's saying he's questionable.
Yeah.
But I was seeing yesterday it said Teague is probable to play. I'd have to find it. If Teague plays, Towns is still a fine play, but I don't have as much interest as I would have. I played 41 minutes last night, which generally speaking shouldn't be a big deal. But if Teague is back, it does take away a decent amount of passing responsibilities from him. Second of a back-to-back, traveling from Atlanta to Indiana. It, everything combined, I'd be okay not getting as much. Probably above the field if they're going to be at 8%.
Right.
But I don't know if I'm getting. I don't know if and I haven't. I don't know yet. This is just what I'm assuming will happen. Teague to me always makes a really big difference here.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mostly only like the idea of having a lot of Towns because he's so far away from the other guys at the top in ownership, and I don't necessarily think that he should be. It should be that sort of gap. If he's at 9% on DK on a 6-gamer, and all of the ownership is coming into, Russ, Jimmy Butler, Miles Turner's at 30, but he's at 6K, so it's not really comparable. But Russ at 28, Jokic at 22. Paul George at 21, James Harden at 17. Like, if all of those guys are 2 times Cat, I would just rather have some more Cat.
Yeah, and that's fine with me. Jokic at 22 is a bit surprising against Utah. Usually people pump the brakes on that, but seemingly not the case early in the morning.
If Teague plays, I'll have some of him. It's mostly just Teague, Wiggins, and Towns in this one.
If Teague plays, I have quite a bit of interest in him at that price. I mean,
Yeah.
5,500 is cheap. And again, I think you have to view this in respect to the position as a whole. And the guys you're getting around Teague, it's like Wade on a back-to-back played 26 minutes yesterday. He's averaging 25 minutes on back-to-backs this season, so not a terrible thing. Going to Houston, you have Clarkson and Winslow, DraftKings specifically, and Sexton and Moutier, and then a little bit above him you have Collison and Rubio. I actually liked a decent amount, but he looks doubtful to play now, so that's a big deal. So yeah, I think Teague actually fits in pretty nicely there if he comes back in and plays 30 minutes upon being reinserted.
Yeah, I have him in for 30 minutes. 5,500, you can't really beat.
Yeah.
Point per minute guy. If it breaks right, you're in good shape.
Yep. No issues with that whatsoever.
Yeah. I don't need any Rose, Saric, Okogie, Anthony Tolliver.
Nope. But if Teague is out, Tyus Jones once again becomes a top value option on the slate.
Yes, he does.
I think Teague plays, but it's when it comes to this team, even with Thibodeau long gone, I'm still not, confident trying to figure this one out. So 37 minutes last night. I'm perfectly happy getting a lot of Tyus Jones at $4,500 on DraftKings and $853 on FanDuel. If Teague is out, he becomes top value. There's no debate there.
Totally agree. I don't have anything else in this game.
No, I think we're good to go.
The Orlando Magic hosting the Golden State Warriors. 110.25 implied total for the Magic, 116.25 for the Warriors. No news yet on the Warriors side. I assume we could see someone sit, but as of right now, everybody's in. We'll start on the Orlando side. A little bit of a pace-up spot. 10-4 for Vooch on FanDuel, 9,300 on DraftKings. Like, Vooch is at more ownership in this spot than Karl Anthony Towns in the previous game. Like, I would just rather have Towns.
Yeah, it's fair. I mean, yeah, Towns is what, $1,200 more expensive than Vooch on DraftKings?
He's 10.5. Vooch is 93. Yeah.
Yeah, 1,200. So I could see Vooch being being more popular, but what is he, 13%?
Yeah,
I
like I
don't
don't
think
mean that it's huge or anything, but it's just another guy that's getting even more ownership than Carl Anthony Towns.
yeah, no, understood. And Towns has looked really good. I don't disagree with your take on Towns. I just don't know. I just for Teague makes a pretty big difference is all I'm saying. But
Oh yeah, I don't disagree.
yeah, I like Vooch too. I mean, look, some there's like this misconception that man is like, oh man, gonna go small. There used to be that thing about with the Warriors, like every team that faces them is gonna go small. No, teams that can afford to go small, we're gonna go small against the Warriors. Not let's sit easily our best offensive player and go small and hope we can win. It doesn't work like that.
Let's sit
Uh,
Vooch so we can get Kim Birch in there.
exactly, exactly. Not to mention that with Cousins in the mix, who he'll play today. With Cousins in the mix, it that's even more of a non-factor. I see it so often
Yeah.
where it's like, oh, don't you worry about them going small? No, even without Cousins, like if it's their best player, you're not going. Like the Sixers aren't sitting Embiid down the stretch because the Warriors are playing a smaller lineup with Dre at the 5. Like,
No.
come on now, it's crazy. Why would you ever even consider doing that? So, with the way the Magic are playing, man, I think this is another spot where Vooch gets himself a good 34 minutes. They're not on a back-to-back, which is nice. Golden State is. They lost. I mean, like we said, man, couldn't have played better defense than they did on that last Wade game buzzer beater. But I like Vooch here. I do. And even with Cousins out there, first of all, he's not fully back from a defensive standpoint at all. And he's never been an elite defender.
No.
I think Vooch probably puts up solid numbers here once again.
He's not grading out all that well for me. I've got a lot of centers ahead of him. So I don't anticipate ending up with too much. I don't really have much of anything coming from Orlando. If I were playing a 20 max on DK, I'd have, maybe Vooch, Gordon in 2 at the most. I don't really mind Fournier for 5,800 on FanDuel. You can talk me into John Isaac for 6K on FanDuel. These guys have better prices on FanDuel than they do on DraftKings. If you want to throw away, like if you want to punt fully and cross your fingers that he gets more minutes, like Jerry and Grant for the flat minimum is potentially a punt guy, just to save scratch. But there's not a lot here that I would like out of Orlando. I do think this is interesting. So the stats that I keep for defensive changes, or for defensive fantasy point adjustments, the points per possession allowed. The Orlando Magic, 5% better than average. Their defense has been fantastic. They have the best fantasy defense on the slate over the last 15 games.
It's amazing.
I would not have expected that.
No,
Denver,
really
Utah, Oklahoma City, Philly, Indiana, Golden State. Like, there's a lot of good defensive teams on here, and the Magic are the best in the last 15.
It's incredible, man. They've been really, really good. Even just defensive rating, I think they're better than all but one team since the start of January. I have Vooch grading out basically from a value standpoint, the same as Karl Anthony Towns and below Nikola Jokic. But the thing here is, I just love the mid range at center. We'll get to a couple guys like Kevin Love the other day.
I have him ahead of Vooch.
I have Kevin Love ahead of a lot of people.
So do I.
Yeah, Kevin Love, Turner. You have Mitchell Robinson. You have Steven Adams, who is facing no Joel Embiid, no Boban front court. Not to say Boban's a good defender, but that doesn't matter because he takes up so much space and rebounding. There's more here as well. Like there's a lot in the mid range of centers. So I don't know how much I'd end up with Vooch. I'm actually gonna run something right now while we're talking. But in a vacuum, I don't think it's a bad matchup for him at all.
True. I wish I had more hot takes for Orlando, but they're just not grading out like that.
I do. I have one. Depending on like if Teague plays and what type of value opens up. Granted, we are getting some value that is beginning to open up. Depending on what you're looking to do with, no Rubio and and a few other guys, but I don't think that I don't think Augustine is the worst play here if you're trying to sprinkle in some lower ownership on a
Yeah.
guy like Augustine, because I would say Augustine plays 32 minutes here, and it's in a significant pace up spot for him. He's been, good enough, right? He can clearly go 38 fantasy points. Not to say that that's a common occurrence, but he's done it. He's got 30 plus in 5 of his last 10, I think. So, not a crazy play at 4,500.
No, not at all. We're gonna make this this show go a little bit towards football. Friend of the program, Evan Silva, tweeting out Kyler Murray's combine weigh-in numbers: 5'10" and 1/8 inch, 207 pounds, a half inch shorter than Russell Wilson. Same weight, just in case anybody's curious.
I wasn't
checking. That's like the big news for today. How tall is Kyler Murray, and how much does he weigh?
Is that really what everyone was waiting on?
Yeah, man. That's, if they find out that he's accidentally like an inch taller than they think he is, he's the first pick in the draft.
Man, everything changes.
For real. Yeah, I don't know. It's craziness.
So much for the eye test, am I right?
I guess. I don't know. I don't watch college football. I don't know
I've been saying he was 5'10" and around an eighth of an inch for a while now. I don't even watch college sports.
Yeah, I don't know. I know nothing about him from a football perspective.
Yeah, college football and college basketball, I do not watch them frequently whatsoever.
Once they stopped having video games, I stopped having any tie to college football and college basketball. So thank you very much, Ed O'Bannon. You are a dick. But I 100% agree with you.
Someone was yelling at Adam on Twitter a couple weeks ago for it was a Zion block, and he's like, "Who's that?" Because it was from a camera shot. It was from an angle like 100 feet away on the other side of the court. And so it's like, "How are you and not know who he is?" He's like, "No, I know who he is. I just couldn't see from that angle, and I don't watch college basketball." And then it was, "How do you not watch college basketball to know the crop of talent that's coming up?" And I responded with, that does you zero good. Like, that is exactly the reason why you have 6 months in the summertime to go over that stuff. As a matter of fact, you and me, now look, if you watch college basketball, it's not a detriment to you. It's not a bad thing for learning about these players coming up, but you cannot say that by watching college basketball, you're doing yourself or any of your subs or viewers a service by getting ready for the next season right now. Like, if anything, it might take away from what you're putting into the actual players in the league. The only thing that matters now are the players that are in the NBA and are eligible to actually play in the NBA. Until they don't mean nearly as much to any of us.
No, yeah, I watch nothing. I can probably name 5 guys in college basketball right now. Most of them are on Duke.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just don't care. It's really not that great of a product any longer.
No, it's not. It's so slow.
I'll watch Zion's highlights on House of Highlights on Instagram, and that's pretty much my exposure to college basketball. If they create a new college basketball video game, I'll get it immediately, and I'll know a lot more about college basketball.
That sounds about right to me.
Do you think anybody from Golden State sits?
No, I don't. Because who would? Maybe like Iggy or nobody important. Livingston. Like I can't see him sitting anyone important.
No, neither can I. FanDuel. Look, I'm going right back to the Draymond well. When all of like the Bam news came out from last night, I ended up on a lot less Draymond than I expected from the morning, just because we got crazy value with power forward. But I'll go right back to Draymond. He fouled out last night. It was terrible. I'm not super worried about it. I expect him to play his full allotment of minutes as normal. So Draymond's the guy that I like the most on FanDuel. Cousins, Durant, and Curry are all sort of in the same bucket. On DK, I would rather have Cousins than Draymond, but they are the two guys that I'm looking at. Durant and Curry, you can flip a coin. Curry's just I don't like having a lot of Curry if Cousins is active.
Neither do I. And yesterday was really disappointing because his rates without Cousins are really, really impressive. And they weren't, yet. I mean, he still got up 20 shots. He took 14 threes. It's not like he wasn't getting up the shots, but he didn't shoot well from three. The peripherals weren't there. No steals, only 4 assists. It was a rough one for Curry, man. And from a fantasy standpoint, at 9,100 on FanDuel or DraftKings and on Fan 93, it's not terrible, but I actually am prioritizing nobody from Golden State today.
Ooh, nobody. Okay. Cousins and Draymond are priorities for me.
Really? Yeah, not for me. I mean, Cousins at that price, like, yeah, he played 31 minutes last game, which is still really, really solid. And I think he's a perfectly fine play here. But I can't get away from the fact that there's also a lot at center. I would say if there's anybody I like the most, it would definitely be Cousins. Like, that's not even close.
Sure.
But do I prioritize him? Probably not.
I'm probably being a little aggressive in the term prioritize, but I will have more than the field by probably a pretty considerable margin.
That's fair.
I wish I had more to talk about for these guys.
Yeah, I don't. I'm okay to move on if you are.
All right,
but
this one's going to take some time, so we probably should.
Yeah, you did mention though that Orlando, and it's still Golden State. Don't get me wrong, but I just think it's important not to look at this Orlando team as just like a pushover type matchup. It's this game. I wouldn't be surprised to see this game go under and slow down a little bit.
All right, hit that like button, everybody. We're going to need all the likes we can get as we head here. Buckle in. The New York Knicks are hosting the Cleveland Cavaliers. 110 implied total for the Knicks. 107 for the Cavs. Pace down spot for the Knicks. I truly have no idea what to do here. I think we should probably just walk through each guy, give brief thoughts, and go from there. Mitchell Robinson, I've got in for 28 minutes. He's 7,400 on FanDuel, 6,400 on DraftKings, and $24 on Yahoo. I think that he is a fantastic play on Yahoo. I don't mind having him on FanDuel or DraftKings, but not a priority to me. He is very chalky on FanDuel. Not sure I understand why.
Yeah, well, Mitchell Robinson is good.
Yes, he is.
He is good. And I take credit on being there early. But it's not early anymore, so it doesn't really make a difference. He's played 30-plus minutes in back-to-back games. The first one, Noah Vonleh was in serious foul trouble. The second one, Noah Vonleh just, Fizdale wanted to play Mitchell Robinson, which is exactly what the case should be. There's no reason you shouldn't be playing Robinson. I have him at 30 minutes. And the reason is simple enough for me. Noah Vonleh last game, we saw it wasn't the foul trouble. It wasn't anything. That dude just didn't get the minutes. And, it came against the Cleveland or an Orlando team where, did you play Robinson because for more defensive purposes? I guess it's possible, but you can make the same argument if Kevin Love's going to play around 30 minutes tonight too. So I don't think that changes all that much. Robinson in 30 minutes, if he gets that run, I'm 100% on board. Like, hell, Robinson at 24 minutes, not at this price point, but Robinson at 24 minutes still had significant upside. His per minute production over the last 30 days is above 1.3. So I just don't know what there is. Yes, his price has come up. There's that. And from an ownership standpoint, he's going to be chalky. So I'll lay it out like this. can you get away from Mitchell Robinson if he's going to be one of the most popular players on the board? Easily. The answer is easily. With Kevin Love or Miles Turner, there's a lot of them. But I would also expect that a lot of those guys will have their fair share of ownership. Miles Turner right now is up there. Kevin Love's at 20% on DraftKings specifically. Mitchell Robinson's at 11. So on DraftKings, you're not getting crazy ownership on Mitchell Robinson. No. And it's against this Cleveland team that's probably going to run out a lot of Love and Nance. It's not the craziest idea. If Fizdale actually wanted to do, normal coaching stuff, it's not even crazy to see Robinson and Vonleh out there together. I don't think it would happen, but we saw Noah and Valanciunas out there together against Love and Nance just a few days ago. So wilder things have happened. I think Robinson, barring foul trouble, is pretty safe for the minutes here. But who the fuck knows?
Yeah. Also, barring foul trouble is a very big caveat for him.
He's been a lot better lately, though.
See where he's at for the season.
Those last 2 games with a lot of minutes. Oh, his per 36s are monstrous for fouls. It's not good.
I'm on cleaning the glass.
He's
at higher ownership on FanDuel than Miles Turner, and he's $100 more expensive. I can't justify that at all.
No, that's crazy. He's at 6. He's at 6 per 36. So he's fouling out per 36.
Fantastic. Okay, cleaning the glass isn't loading. I wanted to know where he ranked as a center, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so I will have a little bit. I don't want to be on anything that's chalky coming out of New York. Let's be clear there. And luckily, I don't have a lot that I like here. How do you want to manage Dennis Smith and Emmanuel Mudiay? I think it's probably best to talk about them in a combination. I have Smith in for 28 minutes, Mudiay in for 24. If you think that Mudiay gets some run, I think he's viable for 4,900. He can play anywhere between 18 and 20. No, probably 18 and 32 minutes.
Yeah, really? Yeah. Like, Popcorn Machine doesn't even have this day available.
Yeah.
So I'm using another site, and it's kind of frustrating to use it because there are a few things that they don't have yet, which kind of sucks. But at least we can look at the overlap. So Dennis Smith and Mudiay in the first quarter played a minute or two next to each other, and then in the second quarter played like 4 minutes or 3 minutes with each other. And then in the third quarter played another 3 minute. No, they didn't play. No overlap in the third quarter.
Who did they play that day?
What's that?
Who did they play?
Orlando.
Okay. That was the 26th, right?
Mm-hmm. So they played about, 4 minutes, 5 minutes together.
The game is up on Popcorn Machine if you enter it manually.
Oh, is it? Okay,
yeah.
Good. But Dennis Smith only played 21 minutes in that game.
Yep. Did not play at all in the fourth quarter. Played a, 5 minute and 9 minute. So played 14 straight minutes at the end of the second quarter into the third quarter, and then never saw the floor again because, well, they were losing, and then they had to bring in the natural 5-man lineup of Emmanuel Mudiay, Alonzo Trier, John Jenkins, Henry Ellenson, and Luke Cornett, at least for a little bit, to go on an 11-1 run.
And then replaced him with Robinson.
Yeah. Luke Cornett played 4.5 minutes. He was +7. They went +7 while he was on the floor. They took him out. Didn't see the floor again. They're the only minutes he played.
Yeah. Henry Ellenson's played 4 games this season. The Knicks are 3-1 in them.
Oh, well, there you go.
That's all you need to know.
Okay. Are you going to be playing any Dennis Smith? Are you going to be playing any Moody? Are you going to be playing anything from the Knicks? Where's your eye at?
If I'm going to play one of them, I'd honestly just rather play Mudiay because 2 things. One, on a per minute basis, they're pretty much identical,
Yes.
right? Actually, Moutier's been better this season, but they're pretty damn close. Moutier is significantly cheaper,
Yep.
and he doesn't run any heavier a risk of getting less minutes than Smith does. So no, I mean, look, he's played 26, 19, and 32 since returning from injury. Smith's played 22, 30, and 21, right? So Moutier's played more than him in
2 of the 3.
In 2 or 3. So if I'm going with one of them, just give me the cheaper guy. That's really all it is.
How many minutes does Henry Ellenson play tonight?
Your guess is as good as mine. I have him at 23. But
I have him at 22.
Okay. But that doesn't mean anything.
No, it could be 0 or 30.
It doesn't mean a damn thing. It really doesn't at all. So when it comes to that, seriously, if you're feeling feisty and you're all right with the risk, then go right ahead. But there's nothing, the honest to God truth, there's nothing I can tell you that's gonna make any bit of a difference here. Nothing.
For me, for the Knicks, there's not a single player that I think I'm okay here. I will probably have some combination of like 8 of these guys in very low amounts.
I'm all right with Robinson, though. I'm fine with Robinson.
I don't mind it. I just like be very careful using guys from the Knicks and understand what that means for the rest of your lineup. Like, pairing people or playing other people in different lineups. I'm okay with Mitchell Robinson. I have is this a weird, how weird is this statement? I would rather have oh god, I don't even want to say this out loud. I would rather have Henry Ellenson than Mitchell Robinson.
Why? Just because he's cheaper? And
based on what I have in right now, I have Henry Ellenson at 22 minutes. I have Mitchell Robinson at 28. If that plays out, I would end up having slightly more Ellenson than Robinson.
Okay.
And I don't have confidence in what I'm saying there, but that's just sort of where I land. I have no confidence in Mitchell Robinson playing 30 plus minutes. I have no confidence in anybody on this team playing 30 plus minutes because I have no idea what's going to happen. Lance Thomas can go from 0 to 30. I don't have Luke Cornett in here. If he played 28 minutes, it would be like, yeah, of course he did. I've got no idea what to do here.
Neither do I. There's not much I can say about it. But I do think that Mitchell Robinson is safe for minutes, or at least safe-ish. And the reason for that is Fizdale has been really stupid and just making seemingly rash decisions that really have no bearing on reality. But the one thing is you're a coach that is looking to make this team a lot better over the offseason. Well, maybe it's a good time to figure out how good your second round center is because he's looked really good. And as you know, when you're talking about young players, there's a lot of these guys, if you want to talk about some of these guys being young, there's a difference between being young and having a lot of potential and just being young. Most of these guys, a lot of them might be young, but he's looking at them like, I know these guys they're not going anywhere. I'll give them 10 minutes or 30 minutes. It's not going to tell me anything I didn't already know. With Mitchell Robinson, it's hard to believe that with DeAndre Jordan out and the treatment that Noah Vonleh's gotten recently, that Robinson isn't at least remotely safe to get those minutes. But hey, you never know. You never know.
God, YouTube chat is just breaking on what I just said right now, and I don't.
On what? You're Ellenson over Robinson?
Ellenson more than Robinson. Just if they play 28 and 22 minutes, that's where I would be. I don't trust any of these dudes. And it's relative to their salary. It's not as if I think Henry Ellenson is going to outscore Mitchell Robinson. Just, I think that Henry Ellenson can get to the point that I need him to get to at his salary slightly more often than Mitchell Robinson can.
People love unloading on your takes, man. It is funny.
God. It's not like I'm saying that Henry Ellison's going to score 40. I just think his chances of paying off his price tag are slightly better at 22 minutes than Mitchell Robinson at 28. That's it. And I hate them both.
Yeah, I don't hate Robinson. I know you don't. I don't. I think I probably like him a bit more than you do. Actually, quite a bit more than you do.
It's a lack of confidence thing, not a like his fantasy talent and his per minute production. You know, I have no issue with it whatsoever. I'm very nervous about keeping him on the floor to be out there long enough now that his salary's higher, I guess.
That's fair. Another thing, though, that I find very interesting is that only 3 teams have had their shot blocked more than the Cavaliers this year. That plays pretty heavily into my decision making. I mean, they get blocked a lot at the rim, a lot, and Mitchell Robinson will be there waiting to gobble those shots up.
Should be until Fizdale doesn't play him.
It's possible. Yeah.
Oh God. Henry Ellison didn't get his third-year player option picked up by the Pistons, got cut, and he's now on the Knicks and played 30 minutes in the second game that he played for them. How could how can teams be so wildly different in their player evaluation?
Well,
it's like this YouTube chat.
Wait, what's his contract with the Knicks?
I assume the flat minimum for the rest of the season. But
right. So I don't think
the Pistons had him and simply were just like, we don't want to have you next year. You are a first round draft pick that is not getting a player option picked up, which happens 3 times a season.
I don't know if it's crazy to think though that just because Fizdale's playing him that they don't tell him to walk at the end of the year too. Hey,
who knows?
Thanks. You had that good game.
He's on a 10 day.
So yeah, I mean, he might just be playing him because he can. I think there's spite in Fizdale too. I think he'll see players looking poorly and be like, you know what, Henry, get out there and just do it to punish other players. But I'm okay to move on from the Knicks. I would actually really enjoy that.
Oh, I got nothing. You don't know basketball if you think Ellison is not good. No, he is not good. He's 100% not good. He was a terrible draft pick for the Pistons. He barely played, and now he's on a 10-day contract for one of the 3 worst teams in the league. See, if he's anything other than shit, I wouldn't know how to explain it.
I think there's this huge misconception that it's because someone was good in college, they must be good at the NBA level. Could not be further from the truth.
I mean, was he good in college? Where did he go? Marquette?
I don't know.
No, that's not right. Where the hell did he go? I feel like it's a blue team, but I might just be thinking of the Pistons.
Well, the reason I say that is what else would make somebody think that he's good?
It can't be NBA performance.
No.
Where did he go? Where did he go? Where did he go? Oh, he went to Marquette. Fuck yeah. I was right. He's played... What has he played? 400 minutes in the NBA so far in his career? How good can he be?
Even if you're the worst talent evaluator in the world as a coach,
540 minutes he's played.
Even if you're the worst talent evaluator in the league as a coach, you're still going to realize that this guy can play, and you're going to play him enough if he's okay. And from what we've seen, I mean, I don't know. This might be a family member of his saying that. Yeah. It might be a cousin, because that's the only reasonable explanation.
Do you want to talk about anybody else from the Knicks? Knox, Trier, Dotson. What do you think happens with Noah Vonleh? Is he playable, or does he just continue to not get minutes?
I absolutely do not think that he is playable at this point.
I agree.
No,
11 minutes in the last game.
I'm not. I have no need to take that risk. Plus, for a 6 game, there's actually not a bad amount of value.
All right, let's talk Cleveland, another team that I can't stand.
I love Kevin Love.
No reason not to. 7,500 on FanDuel, 6,900 on DK, 31 on Yahoo. He played 28 minutes the last game out. That's where I have him right now. I'm not comfortable going over until he does because I have no idea if they're going to try to stretch him out. There's no reason to play Kevin Love big minutes right now, so I don't know what the actual ceiling will be. It's hard for me to project more minutes on a team that, one, doesn't want to win, and two, has no reason to push a guy that's been out with major injuries for a while. So
I have him at 29.
Okay.
I
think 32 is probably like the upper cap.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I'd tell you right now, I really wouldn't be surprised if he played 30 at all. But I put him at 29. I feel more comfortable there. 29 minutes for Kevin Love. I am 100% okay with that. You know, you're talking about a guy that hasn't played many games this season, but is at a 1.4 fantasy point per minute clip. So even across 29 minutes, you're north of 40 fantasy points. That's not including the matchup with the Knicks. So, yep, Kevin Love to me is a very, very strong play. It's sub 7K on DraftKings. I mean, that price is just too cheap. Even on FanDuel, I'm not opposed to it. But, 6,900, I predict I'll have quite a bit of Kevin Love.
The sad thing about this game is that I like someone more than Kevin Love in the Cavs.
What, Sexton, Clarkson?
Oh, God. It's that bad that you named two guys that aren't the guy.
What is it, Chetty?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're on your own there.
5,200 on FanDuel, 4,900 on DK. Grades out really well for me. I have him at 0.75 fantasy points per minute. He's at 1 over the last 30 days. He's 4,900 on DraftKings. Would you rather play Chetty or Emmanuel Mudiay? Same price on DraftKings.
Let me see where I have him. The thing is, Chetty is shooting so well right now that there's just no way he sustains that.
Oh, I agree. Like I said, I have him at 0.75 fantasy points per minute for this game. He's been playing at 1, so I've lopped 25% of his production off of him.
Right. I have Mudiay projected above him.
Okay. I don't. I have a lot of Chetty. Would you rather have Chetty or Damian Dotson? Chetty's $300 more expensive.
Definitely Osman.
Okay.
Because number one, Dotson's just not good. Number two, with Chetty, at least I'm confident that he's going to play those minutes every night.
Yeah.
A week ago, I'd have been confident that Dotson was getting the minutes, but not anymore.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm going to end up with way more Chetty than I would like to.
That should be an enjoyable experience.
Rarely is. Hopefully, value comes out and I can get away from it right now, but he's just sort of in that mid-tier where it's kind of easy to get to him.
Right.
No ownership really on DK. He's a little popular on FanDuel. And then Clarkson, Sexton, I'll probably have, a lineup with them in. Do you like anything else from Cleveland?
No, Kevin Love, if you're looking at Clarkson and Sexton, I guess I understand, sprinkling them in, but I don't suppose I'm going to have much of any of them actually. So it's pretty tough. Kevin Love would be the guy. It's just really hard when you're thinking like if he plays 30 minutes, Kevin Love at 30 minutes is usually an 8K player. 6,900 is crazy, man. It's just way too cheap.
Yeah, 30-minute Kevin Love is certainly an 8K player.
Mm-hmm.
All right, 3 more games. We're moving at a decent pace. The next one's tough. This one's a lot easier. At least I think it is. Rockets hosting the Heat. 114.25 implied total for the Rockets. 104.75 for the Heat. Right now I have everybody in for the Rockets. I have Fareed in, which I'm not comfortable about. I have Shumpert in, which I'm not comfortable about. I don't think it doesn't really matter for my Harden and Paul takes. Harden in particular, I mean, Harden can get a couple extra minutes maybe, but 11.7 on FanDuel for Harden, 11K on DraftKings, 58 on Yahoo. I'd be ignoring him on Yahoo. I don't mind having him on either FanDuel or DK. It's not a fun spot, but it's James Harden.
Yeah. This is a weird one for me because I'm waiting on news for Chris Paul. Like, just because he's playing doesn't mean that D'Antoni doesn't say something like, yeah, he's going to be limited heavily. And if that's the case, and we already know that Harden and Paul stagger minutes, there's a chance that Harden could play a lot of his minutes, like the majority of his minutes with Paul off the court. So just keep an eye on that. Could be totally wrong. It's just speculation. But they had initially talked about holding Paul out on one of the back-to-backs. So I don't know. Maybe they've changed their mind. Maybe they're saying we need to make a push here. But I'm going to be paying close attention there. I think you pretty much have to. Aside from that, though, with Harden, yeah, 11K on DraftKings, it's not something I have any issue with, at all. But I do not like him as much as Russell Westbrook. I can tell you that much.
Neither do I. At least I don't think that I do. No, I do not. Now, if Chris Paul is out, sign me up.
Yeah.
You're jamming in James Harden.
Oh, well, that's not even a question. He becomes the top play on the night, and it's not close.
Very true. I'll probably have a little bit of Chris Paul. He's getting no love whatsoever, but he's been playing pretty well as of late. So if he can get out there, I'm fine with it.
I'm not.
Okay.
Well, I don't trust that he's going to, like, you go from we're going to sit him on back-to-backs to he's going to play. I have some serious concerns about his minutes there. Now, if you think that he will have zero limitations, then yes, Chris Paul would be perfectly fine. But I guess where I stand on this is at his price point, 83 on DraftKings, 87 on FanDuel, and against Miami, I personally do not see me taking that risk or finding the need to take that risk.
I should be more specific. I prefer him significantly on FanDuel at 8,700 with the need to roster 2 point guards than I do on DK at 8,300. I think that I can spend my money more efficiently on Paul on DraftKings, but on FanDuel, I like him a lot more.
You like him over Ben Simmons facing OKC in a 240 total game?
Are we talking FanDuel?
Yeah, they're 300 separated.
Not even remotely close.
You like him more than Simmons?
No. Ben Simmons is my third favorite guy.
Okay.
Here's my problem for point guard on FanDuel today. Russell Westbrook and Ben Simmons are my number 2 and my number 3 overall. The reason they're not 1 and 2 is just simply the fact that Bam Adebayo plays today.
Right.
So Westbrook and Simmons would be my preferred combo. Keeping an eye on their ownership would be key for me, but it's basically Westbrook at the top tier, Simmons close, and then a chasm to Chris Paul.
Okay.
But
I was going to say,
I still end up with a lot of Chris Paul in that scenario because he's third. He just happens to be miles behind Ben Simmons.
Got you. Yeah, I was going to say, very surprised you had Paul ahead of Simmons.
No, I don't.
And Simmons is only $100 more than Paul. We'll get to that game, so I'll hold off on any analysis there. But
yeah, we have a lot to talk about there.
Yeah. So with Houston, I'd be lying if I said Capella playing 41 minutes last night isn't a little bit concerning for tonight. But at 6,700, I don't know how much I care. Like, he's another mid-range guy that I'm perfectly fine with. But to me, it's also one of these things where on DraftKings specifically, you do have Kevin Love in that price range. You have Robinson, you have Mitchell Turner, you have Steven Adams, and more. We have Adebayo down there. You can get away easily from Capella, even though he's a good price. Like most nights, if Capella was 67, you'd be like, wow, how do I not play Clint Capella tonight? And right now he has some pretty significant ownership projection. Tonight, I I don't know if I'm as high on him for those reasons, and mostly because the position just has a ton of depth in that middle tier.
Yeah, I mean, he's chalky. He's like
Yeah, he is.
one of the 8 most owned guys on DK. And on the
Yep.
surface, I don't disagree with it. Like,
Right.
he's
That's
a
the thing.
$6,700 Clint Capella.
That's the thing. Yeah.
Knowing Fareed's new, like, if Fareed is out, then I get it, because I think that he's just going to play as much as he can. I assume that he becomes highly inefficient, but soaks up a bunch of minutes. They just don't have enough options.
Well, not
Or
if
PJ Tucker is going to play 42 minutes today.
No, if Nene plays,
he's out, isn't he?
No, he was out yesterday for rest.
I could have swore I saw he was out again. Ignore me. Keep going.
If he plays, I would expect Capella to get like 32, maybe Nene to get 16.
Yeah.
And then
yeah, ignore me.
They'd have it. They could fill the backup power forward role. It probably won't be pretty, but they have enough bodies to mix in there if necessary, especially if Shumpert plays and they go small here, because Miami doesn't play that big.
Certainly not with Whiteside out either.
Right. Plus, Tucker could play 38 minutes here, which is probably what, like, if Fareed's out, I would just think Tucker plays around 37, 38.
Oh, yeah.
And then mix in some variation of like a minute or two, like 5 minutes from Hartenstein or Clark or whatever, and you could probably get there. Terrence Jones is back on the roster?
Yeah.
What?
I don't have him in right now until we get any news on Fareed.
No, I just didn't know he was back.
He is.
That was my guy. He had some monster punt games back in the day.
Yes, he did. He started going crazy there for a couple like a 2-week stretch.
Man, Terrence Jones, imagine that.
Yeah, this one's mostly Harden for me. A little bit of Chris Paul on FanDuel. Keep your eye on the news for Fareed and Shumpert, and keep an eye on the 4K price tag for PJ Tucker.
Yep. That's it. Terrence Jones, two seasons ago, 21 points, 8 rebounds. Oh man, those were the days. 36 and 11 against Cleveland.
Yeah, buddy.
12 against Brooklyn. Woo, TJ, man, he's putting us some numbers back in the 2016-17 season.
Okay, we don't have to say too much here for Miami. Play Bam Adebayo as much as you would like.
Yep.
4,800 on FanDuel, 4K on DraftKings, $11 on Yahoo. I would have him in every lineup I made on Yahoo. I'll probably have him in every lineup I make on DraftKings.
There were people in the YouTube chat on the deeper dive yesterday screaming fade Bam, and there's no sensibility there. Like, there's good chalk, there's bad chalk. When you have a guy at center that is,
he'd have to die for it to be bad.
Yeah, exactly. He is basically right on the dot, almost a 1 minute or 1 fantasy point per minute guy, right? 0.99. Playing the center, punting a center who you know is going to play 30 plus minutes, plays around the basket. Literally, just all he does is play close to the basket, right? All of his shots come around the basket. Everything he does comes around the basket. For him to completely just destroy you at 4K, is nonsense. Like, if you're saying punt Luke Kennard or fade Luke Kennard as chalk punt, as a chalk value, yeah, totally with you, because he doesn't touch the basketball on rebounds or anything, and he just stands around and hopefully gets enough spot up opportunities to produce. But with Bam, what real leverage do you have there unless he gets in foul trouble? And trying to predict foul trouble is the worst thing you can do.
And even if he gets in foul trouble, he's still going to use every one of those fouls. He's going to have to come back on the floor.
Right. I mean, if you want to play Olynyk at the 5, yes, it is it's doable. You can,
Not in
you
this
know,
spot,
and
they can't. Clint Capella will score every single time down the floor.
of course he will. But what I'm saying, if it's absolutely necessary, you can do it. But
Yeah.
you do not want to do that at all. And punt centers, good ones, are few and far between when you know they're going to get the minutes. Look, could Bam go out there today, get in foul trouble, and have an awful game? Sure. But that's not reason to say, yeah, fade Bam just because everyone else likes him.
No. His median projection for today is at the level that I would like him to hit a target in a GPP. Most people are usually off by like 10 to 15 points from that number. That's just how projections work. Yeah. He's like 50% likely to just be at the score that's awesome for a tournament. That says nothing for what happens if he does better than that.
Right. I have his per minute rate down from his season average today, and he's still the best value on the slate.
He's the best value by a mile.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, so not even close. I don't. No one's comparable.
If you were to take him at his season average, right, and give him 31 minutes, you're projecting him over 30 fantasy points at 4K. Projecting him over 30 fantasy points at 4K.
Yep. Doesn't get any better than that.
Unless Boban's projected to play 30 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, I will have Bam in every single lineup I make on DraftKings, I assume. Maybe he slips out of one. Don't know how to do it otherwise.
I'll throw it out there. I don't know what's going on with actually, I think, is James Johnson out too? I think he's out, right? Yeah. So Olynyk probably plays 30 minutes again.
I have him in for 28 right now, but I should probably increase that.
All right. Well, I have him at 31 actually, but if you have
more right than I am.
If you have him at 30, you could do worse on a 6-gamer. Yeah. I'm not enthusiastic about him whatsoever, but you could certainly do worse. Now, what I would be curious to know, and I think this is probably something that plays heavily into this, is does Derrick Jones Jr. get more minutes than he did last game? Because he had a third foul beginning his second rotation. He had a third foul, right? And this was like 3 or 4 minutes into the second quarter. He replaced Olynyk in that quarter, but Olynyk did not replace him again when he got in foul trouble. Winslow came back in, so they ran with and Haslam was already in, so they went with a Winslow, Waiters, Magruder, Haslam, and Adebayo lineup. So Olynyk didn't even come back in for him. And then in the second half, Jones came in, had one more foul in the third, one more in the fourth. They did not, or Spoelstra did not yank him. So how many minutes did he lose? I'd say he probably lost about 4 minutes to that foul in the second quarter, but it actually didn't impact Olynyk. So Olynyk was already off, and it didn't make a difference.
Yeah. Did you see Dragic's line from last night?
What do you have, like 27 points or something?
Yeah, in like 14 straight minutes or something stupid.
That's crazy.
Somebody went crazy. They played the Warriors. So Clay had like 20 points or something in the second quarter or something along those lines.
Yeah, Clay had a big first half.
And he didn't even, like, Dragic outscored him, but he barely played for the rest of the game. Or he might not have actually come in again.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I'll have quite a bit of, well, not quite a bit. I'll have a solid amount of Josh Richardson because his minutes are super steady, and I really like getting him on DK when he's under 6K. Olynyk is, like you said, it's hard to get away from someone that should play, 28 plus minutes at sub 5K price tags.
Yeah.
Wade's a little chalky. I don't love that. The price is great, but I don't really love it on a back-to-back. Winslow's a little chalky, 5K on DK. I don't have any problem going there, though. I'll have a couple shares of Waiters. and I don't mind using Derek Jones as a punt on FanDuel.
So you have a lot of Miami.
No, not really. Like, I mean, I'll have an unlimited amount of Bam, and then, probably a little north of the field on Richardson and Olenek. I'll be way underweight on Wade and Winslow.
The Rockets have a bottom 7 defense since the start of January, which is pretty interesting. Playing at a middle of the road pace, which is up from what we saw earlier in the season. As far as Miami goes, though, there's just so many ways it can go wrong that I get that it's a shorter slate. I try to stick to the guys that I feel are at least going to get the minutes and not destroy me. Bam's obviously one of them. I think Olenek is, in most cases, one of those guys as well. When Olenek gets around 30 minutes, he's generally good enough.
Yeah.
So I think that he will be mixed in. You talk about Derek Jones Jr. So how many minutes to project Jones Jr. for? I would say around 23. Would he have closed out the second half? That is a big question, because had that been the case, he would have played 24 minutes almost instead of 17 minutes.
Yeah.
That's a significant difference, but I couldn't tell you the answer to that. I really couldn't.
Shit, I had a question. No, I don't remember what it was. Oh, do you think Goran Dragic plays today?
Good question. I don't know.
If he doesn't, that solidifies Miami a little bit more.
I agree. By the way, I was wrong about Haslam. I read it wrong. I lined them up. It was Dragic and Magruder, not Haslam and Magruder when Jones was out. Not that matters.
Haslam jacked a 3 yesterday.
Yeah, I
Missed
know.
it by like 8 feet.
Yep. Pretty incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. Good for him, buddy. He's just like, I'm gonna get out there, jack up some threes, make a couple million.
Yep. Hey, you want to talk about a good game?
Yeah, let's go to Denver.
Denver. Oh, wait, why are we going out of order here?
By out of order, do you mean the correct order?
By time?
Does the game not start at 9:00?
Does the OKC game not start at 8 and the Denver game at 10:30?
I have Denver at 9 and Oklahoma City at 9:30.
Wait, really?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't know what the times are. Did Basketball Reference fuck this up? That's where I get my schedule from.
Did they flex them differently? Maybe because they're
both on.
Maybe
TNT.
they flexed OKC and Philly, and they probably flexed Philly and OKC in as the TNT game, because
I think they're both on TNT.
Oh, you're right. They are. It's Thursday, so you got. But no, the Sixers start at 8:00, and the Jazz and Denver aren't till 10:30.
Okay, so I grabbed my schedule from Basketball Reference at the beginning of the year, and that's what the times were. So they definitely moved those around. So okay, yeah, we could talk about that game then. OKC and Philly.
Man, you're running the show. I'm just
that's fine. I appreciate you letting me know. OKC and Philly, 123.5 implied total for the Thunder, 115.5 for the Sixers. Outstanding pace game, highest total on the slate. Oklahoma City, monster implied total. Sixers have the third highest for the slate. So let's start on the Oklahoma City side. I absolutely love Russ on FanDuel. I like him just as much as the public on DK. I'm also relatively heavy on Paul George on FanDuel, neutral with the public on DK. It's really hard to not love Westbrook and George here.
Yeah, it is. It's really tough, especially considering George is somehow still 10-4 on DraftKings. He leads the league in minutes since the start of January, playing like 39 minutes per game. It's insane. And then Westbrook has 3 of his 4 40-point games over the last 4 games. I mean, this game has a massive total. 2 teams playing in an elevated pace. 2 teams defensively that are struggling right now. You look at at the Thunder. They were playing they were the best defensive team by defensive rating in the league from October 16th to start the season to December 31st. They're bottom 9 or bottom 8 over the last 2 months. Meanwhile, the 76ers don't have Joel Embiid. They'll be filtering their center rotation with like Jonah Bolden and Mike Scott, who I actually think is a perfectly reasonable value play, by the way. You're really not going to get a better spot for most of these players in both games, in all seriousness, right? Like, OKC is pretty easy for me. I really don't like sometimes these games. I think you would agree when we do the strategy show. Sometimes these games that have the more good plays are take less time to talk about because there's no real explanation needed. Westbrook against Philly, a game with a monster total, playing at an elevated pace, 239 total. Paul George, for the same reason, playing monster minutes, only 10,400 on DraftKings. And then Steven Adams going up against a front court that is without Joel Embiid, that is without Boban. It's a big deal. And by the way, no Boban Marjanovic makes a big difference for Westbrook too. And the reason is he's not mobile, he's not athletic, but he takes up a ton of space in the paint and around the basket. So Westbrook driving to the rim into a redwood tree is different than driving into Jonah Bolden or Mike Scott. Big difference there. I think it benefits him greatly.
I don't disagree there. I've been a Mike Scott guy for like a while.
Sorry to hear that.
I've just always like enjoyed the stretch fiviness.
I mean, I like him tonight. If that's any,
I don't. You know. I just don't see how Philly can slow down Oklahoma City, not having Joel Embiid out there as an anchor. It makes things so difficult.
I don't think they can, but I think OKC is going to have a tough time defensively as well.
I guess I don't disagree. The lot of Philly grading out pretty well.
Tobias Harris has been spectacular, man. The efficiency in this guy is outrageous. Like,
I truly don't know what to do with him.
I've been putting him ahead of Butler since Embiid went out. And I know it's been a minority take, but just the fact that this guy, the big thing for me is it's not like he came to Philly and started shooting efficiently, right? He's been efficient. Like, he is a very efficient scorer, a very efficient shooter. Matter of fact, when you look at 3-point percentage for guys that are actually taking threes this season, I'm not talking about, averaging 2 3-pointers per game, but actually averaging enough threes per game to where it makes a difference. Tobias Harris is one of the best in the league, man. His 3-point percentage this season is behind 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's 6th in the league, or 7th in 3-point percentage this season. And I would imagine that if you pulled up EFG or true shooting percentage, that he would also be near the top among guys that are attempting, say 10 or more shots per game.
Yeah, she's a phenomenal player. I love him.
Man, he really is.
This is going to sound stupid, but I'm really excited to see Philly next year when Jimmy Butler's not on the team.
Yeah, I think it could make a big, we'll see. Could definitely make a big difference. But there's no question in my mind that Harris has made a pretty significant difference for this basketball team. They would have, with Embiid out specifically, they would have definitely lost a lot of games. And, Tobias Harris, you just look at everything this year. Take out the centers, and he also has, and take out Giannis, of course, but he also has one of the highest EFGs in the league as well. And yeah. I don't think that surprises anybody, right?
Not at all.
And one of the best true shooting percentages.
On FanDuel, I would go Simmons, Butler, Harris. They're all relatively close. They have basically the same ownership, 23, 22, 23. On DK, I'm going Butler, then Simmons, then Harris. None of that makes me happy, but I am over the field on all three guys. Let's see how that shook out in my crunch. Ended up with 43% Butler, 34% Simmons, and 21% Tobias Harris on DraftKings, which I believe is, that's north of the public on all three guys. So
we're in different order on both of the sites. Matter of fact, I'm on FanDuel, Simmons, Harris, Butler. I think Harris and Butler should be the same price. If not Harris, $100 or $2 more expensive. So if I'm getting him at $800 discount, I'll take that all day long. On DraftKings, Simmons, Butler, Harris, because Butler being cheaper than him is pretty nice. So yeah, I'll take that. But also keep this in mind, man. Tobias Harris, his minutes are steady 35 plus every single night. Every single night.
I have them all in for 36 minutes. Do you have any sort of major difference in there? I don't know what word I just said.
I'll tell you right now. I might have Simmons at 34, but I'm gonna tell you. Hold on. Ben Simmons.
I would have gone higher on these guys, if anything.
Well, with Simmons, I don't feel comfortable. I have him at 35. Harris, I have at 34. I should bring that up one or two. That one's a bit low. And then Butler, I have at 35. So the reason when it comes to Simmons is I'm not really sure what Brett's been doing with him in certain spots. It's kind of strange. And I actually think he lost a couple minutes last game because Butler down the stretch was, not down the stretch, but there were a few instances where Jimmy Butler was playing well at the end of that game, and Ben Simmons being on the court with him on doesn't really do anything for the team because Butler actually has ball handling responsibilities. So I think Simmons lost a minute or two in the second half because of that. But yes, 35, 36 for all of them sounds about right. I just think it's really nice to see that Tobias, after his first two games with the Sixers, where you're clearly getting everything feeled out, right? 35, 35, 36, 35, 39. He's locked into those minutes, no question about it, especially now that you lost Boban and Scott's got to get some run at the 5. I wouldn't be surprised. Seriously, I wouldn't be surprised if Harris played 40 minutes tonight. Can't project him for that, but it wouldn't be a surprise.
It wouldn't shock me if, they could run a really tight rotation of Simmons, Butler, Harris, and JJ Redick for 38 minutes apiece and hope for the best.
I mean, listen, Brett Brown went with a 9-man rotation last game, and Boban played 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So that now, I think he probably still goes with a 9-man rotation, but what you see is maybe Amir playing a couple minutes. Keep this in mind too. I don't know, and I don't know if Justin Patton's going to play tonight.
Is he healthy?
What's that?
Is he healthy?
He got recalled from the G League. I
basically never played.
Yeah, so if Patton were to get some minutes, I bet he would get like 7 minutes, and it would be in lieu of Amir Johnson. So it's not a concern because I expect one of Johnson or Patton to get 5 to 7 minutes.
Justin Patton in his career, do you know how many minutes he's played?
28?
4. Justin Patton is the Minnesota Timberwolves version of Henry Ellenson.
Yeah, pretty much. He was drafted
with the pick that they received from
16.
the Bulls.
Yep. Nice work there. No, He was drafted by the Bulls, and then he had his rights traded.
Yeah, it's the Butler trade. Or is it the Levine trade?
Levine.
Or is that no,
same thing. Same thing. And then he was traded again in the Butler trade to the Sixers.
Yeah. That's the way that I meant that. Yeah.
No. But
for some strange reason, they did it instead of just taking the Bulls pick in that Levine deal, they did the swap, and that's how they ended up with Justin Patton in that spot. They should have never had that pick, and they should have never took Justin. That's a fucking terrible draft pick.
Yeah, that was bad. You don't know basketball if you think Justin Patton isn't good, though, bro.
I don't even mean it like that, but
I'm kidding.
You just signed Gorgeous Dong to 4 years and $80 million. You have Karl Anthony Towns, who is pretty clearly going to be your center. How do you take Justin Patton in that spot?
Yeah. Well,
shout out to Tibbs.
They didn't draft him.
They drafted Justin Patton. Did they trade his rights? Yes. They selected Justin Patton.
No, he was selected by the Bulls.
I understand what you're saying to me. The Bulls didn't make that draft pick.
Oh, you're saying they said we want Patton and we'll trade for you. Okay,
yes.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, so the Bulls have the trade because it's a trade rights
thing. No. We're arguing semantics. I know. Okay. This was a behind the scenes worked deal. Yes, I got you. Yeah.
Craziness.
It is. But so I have Amir Johnson in for 7 minutes, all right?
Okay. I have him in for 14.
Oh no, maybe I don't, because I have Jonah Bolden in for 20, and then I have Mike Scott in for 30.
I have the exact same thing, 20 and 30.
Okay, then we're different somewhere, huh?
I guess.
But let me see.
I mean, it doesn't matter if Amir Johnson plays 8 or 14.
It's unimportant, yeah. But what I'm saying, what do you have John Simmons at?
14.
Okay, I have him at 18. And I would say that if Amir Johnson doesn't play, Patton gets a few minutes. That's all there is to it.
He almost has to.
It doesn't make a difference.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to have a real hard time. Shout out to Tom if you're listening on Justin Patton minutes talk. I'm going to have a hard time projecting Justin Patton for any minutes, considering he's only played 4 in his career.
Yeah.
If he plays 4, he will have immediately doubled the amount of minutes of his NBA career. So,
right. Well,
if he were on the Knicks, he'd probably play 48 tonight.
Playing 7 minutes isn't that big of a deal. By the way,
it is the Justin Patton.
Yeah, I guess so. The only thing that throws me off here, is that Jonah Bolden last game. So he had 2 fouls in the first. He had 2 fouls in the second. So he's going into halftime with 4 fouls. And then he picks up his 5th foul 3 minutes into the third quarter. And he was replaced by none other than Mike Scott. Well, if that's the case, projecting Mike Scott for 30, he could play 25 here. There is that risk for sure. Like Mike Scott came in and played almost 17 straight minutes. So almost 16 straight minutes in the second half. I don't know if that happens again. And the Jonah Bolden foul, could Jonah Bolden play 25 and knock Scott to 25? Yes, he absolutely could. But Boban's also out here. So you'd have to play Amir Johnson for more minutes in that case. So we're probably pretty safe with Scott getting those minutes. Just wanted to mention that Bolden was in serious foul trouble last game.
Yeah, I would like to play a little bit more Bolden. He's getting like no love here, but I just can't get to it.
Yeah, I don't know how they plan on doing this against Steven Adams, and it's going to be tough.
Simmons, Butler, Harris on FanDuel. I don't have much interest in Redick or Scott. Simmons, Butler, Harris, obviously on DK. I have quite a bit of interest in Redick and Scott.
Mike Scott on DraftKings, yeah.
Yeah, I'll have a lot of Mike Scott on DK.
Redick is really just a take it or leave it for me. If he starts shooting well, all right, there we go. But aside from that, there's not much ball to go around, and he is the worst when it comes to grabbing peripherals. He's also a lot cheaper, but, take it or leave it for me.
Just circling back to OKC for a second. I'll have a little bit of Schroeder on FanDuel. He's kind of popular, but 5K only.
All right.
That's all I got, really.
Good old Dennis Schroeder.
Yeah. Great pickup for them.
Yeah.
I guess. All righty.
He was.
You want to close this out with what I thought was the game we were going to be talking about?
Let's do it.
Denver and Utah. 10:30 start, evidently. 115 implied total for the Nugs. 108 for the Jazz. 7-point favorites. It's not official yet. I assume that we're not going to see Ricky Rubio tonight. Left the game early yesterday. Doesn't strike me as the spot where you run somebody right back out there in a back-to-back, but I have him out right now. It's not something I normally do when someone has an experience like that, but I just can't imagine him playing here.
I would be very surprised.
Yeah.
Very surprised if Rubio plays. He's been held out for less this season too. I have him as doubtful. I'm just assuming he doesn't play.
Yeah, I can't see it.
And honestly, if he does, it's not that hard to make some quick adjustments. Mitchell's not as good of a play, and Raul Neto isn't even in consideration. Yeah. One more thing though.
Oh, you didn't even mention the real guy that I think benefits.
So one more thing. I don't know how much this truly benefits him, but Rudy Gobert has benefited massively from, or at least on paper, when you look at what he did with Rubio out like a month ago, he saw some wild increase or uptick in numbers and the rates pretty much across the board. I don't know how long that would have lasted had Rubio been out. Yeah. But Rudy Gobert was no joke when Rubio was out, and then his numbers came back down to earth.
All right, let's start on this Jazz side right
Wait, now. Who was your guy?
We'll start on the Jazz side. We'll get to it. These guys have crazy prices on DK compared to FanDuel. They don't appear to be fixing them. There are just so many centers out there today that I find it really difficult to get to any Rudy Gobert in volume. He'd be like a 1 out of 20 type guy for me. I clearly like Donovan Mitchell on FanDuel at 9K. He looks good at 8K on DraftKings. How do you want to handle the Derek Favors chalk for the second night in a row? 4,500 on DraftKings.
Well, hold on. Was he the guy that you were referring to?
Nope, still not there yet.
Okay, it's Ingles then?
Nope, still not there yet.
Oh, that's weird. Okay. With Favors, you got the second of a back-to-back, but because he already doesn't play that many minutes to begin with, it's probably not that big of a deal. I was looking over, trying to see what his minutes on back-to-backs were. His last back-to-back, he played 32 in the first game, 25 in the next. Then he played 27 and 16, but the second one was a blowout loss. And he played 26 and 28. Those are back-to-backs. 25 and 28. 24 and then 28. He's been playing more on the second leg of a back-to-back. 24 and then 28. That's pretty significant. 24, 24. That was earlier in the season. 25, 24. So 23, 19. That was a blowout loss. Expect no limitations here from Derek Favors. And because of that, I have no issues whatsoever with a $4,500 Derek Favors. Only 22 minutes last game. You could see him playing more than that today. Last night was a competitive win. I thought that line was pretty weird. It was almost at 10 by the time it closed. That seemed pretty unfair to the Clippers, but they just get shit on all the time. It ended up being a 6-point game.
No more Tobias Harris. I can kind of get it.
They still have a lot of good players, though, like Lou Williams, Montrezl Harrell, Danilo Gallinari, still good. Patrick Beverley defensively is still very good. They still have a good overall team. So Either way, that's unimportant. I think Derek Favors plays around 25, 26 minutes, and I'm perfectly fine at that price point.
Yeah, I'll have way less than the public. That's not a spot where I need, like, I just don't need a third of my lineups to have Derek Favors if I want to be equal. I don't know why they're pricing him at 4,500. It makes no sense. But I can pretty easily get away from that if I need to. I do like Ingles at 5K. That's a really nice price on DraftKings compared to 6,200 on FanDuel. But the guy we need to talk about is $3,400 Royce O'Neal.
Have at it, fella.
He should see a pretty big uptick in minutes if Ricky Rubio is out. And if that's the case, I'm going to have some Royce O'Neal. And having Royce O'Neal and infinite amounts of Bam Adebayo and decent amounts of Mike Scott allow me to pay up for lots and lots of Russ and PG and insert everybody else here, Jokic, Cat, whatever. We have way more value on this slate right now than than you would have ever expected in a 6-gamer. There are a bunch of guys that should see like close to 30 minutes that are in the mid to high 3K range, and that makes it really easy to get up to who you need.
Yeah. By the way, the Knicks plan to sign Henry Ellenson for the rest of the season once his 10-day expires. Just throwing that out there.
Congratulations.
From Woj. So do you like O'Neal over Neto?
Yes.
Okay, see, I don't.
How many minutes do you think Neto plays?
Over 30.
Oh, okay. So we are very different then.
Okay, so what do you have him at?
18.
You have him at 18?
Yeah.
If he starts, I actually have him at 28, so apologies.
I'd be very surprised if he starts.
You would?
Yeah.
Why? He started every game with Rubio out.
Who plays the point guard when he comes off the floor then? Just Donovan Mitchell?
Yeah. I mean, you could do Donovan Mitchell. You want to throw like Allen out there. That's the thing. I don't. League. Did they send him down?
Yeah. He fucking hammered on somebody last night or 2 nights ago.
Oh, they sent him down 2 days ago. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
Or wait. Yeah, 2 days ago. If you know what? How about this? I won't even debate whether or not he starts. If Neto starts, I expect him to play 28, 30 minutes. If he doesn't start, then I would put him around 18, 20 minutes.
He started one game this season.
No, he got hurt. He started in place of Rubio.
Once, January 9th.
And got hurt.
Sure. Was that the only game? He played 29 minutes the game before that.
Yeah, because Rubio got hurt 6 minutes into it. Rubio got hurt 6 minutes into that game. And Neto started. And then the following. So hold on. Let's just pull it up. Played 29 minutes. Yeah. And then he started the very next game, played 31 minutes. And mind you, in that game, Exum was already out. He was already hurt. Rubio was already out, and Neto started. So, I mean, look, you could definitely be right. All I'm going off of is the last time Neto was healthy, he started, and they didn't have Grayson Allen. They didn't have anyone outside of Niang, and he played 5 minutes. So
no, we also don't have Exum.
No, but Exum was out that game too.
That was just me saying like another guy. Yeah, it would surprise me if Neto started just because I don't know how they manage the rotation after that.
The same way they did in that game. That's all I'm saying. Like literally the same way they did it in that game.
Do you have Popcorn Machine up for that game?
Hold on, I'll pull it up right now. What do you have the date for me?
January 9th, I believe.
January 9th? Okay.
I'm getting there as well.
I got it open.
So do I.
No, I got there first, guy. All right. So Neto comes out after
that's a weird rotation. Jesus.
Yep. And then you leave Donovan Mitchell in at the 1. Neto comes in, closes out the first to start the second. That's not that hard. He did the same thing in the second half.
God, that is a weird rotation.
Yeah, and O'Neal played 18.
That is some really ridiculous substitution patterns in this game.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, very, very weird. But is it possible that O'Neal starts? I mean, sure. They when they were down to the bare bones and Neto and Rubio and Exum were out and Allen was hurt, Royce O'Neal started. All I'm going off of is before Neto got hurt, he did start. Like that was Quinn Snyder's first option. Now, it was like a month and a half ago, so maybe he's changed his opinion on that, but that is what we saw.
Yeah, I'm taking a look at it. Because they did then turn to O'Neal playing heavy minutes, which is a little different than that particular game. I'm not sure. It's got me.
You mean after Neto got hurt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably low on 18 minutes. But I don't think that he I don't feel like he gets to 30. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rotations, but not closing. He played the middle part of the fourth quarter.
But this is why I don't even think it's necessary to speculate. If he starts, I would absolutely expect them to get to 30 minutes because they don't have sufficient backups outside of Donovan Mitchell. If he doesn't start, then he doesn't get there. But if he starts, I would put him in for 28 to 31 minutes.
I think you might be right.
I could be wrong. It just depends on whether or not he starts. If he starts, I'd be pretty confident that Neto's going to get the minutes.
Oh yeah, if he starts, I am very confident in him getting the minutes. My assumption when I started this off was that I didn't think that he would start. So clearly that's how I land on it.
Right.
Like he doesn't ever start.
But he hasn't had an opportunity to start because when Rubio's been down before, Exum's been healthy.
Yeah, like he started once last year.
Right, because Exum was healthy.
No, he wasn't.
In those games?
I'm talking last year. I have no idea. But I assume that he was hurt because Exum is hurt always. I think it's crazy that Raul Neto has one start in the last year and a half.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it just Exum was hurt last year, so I have to look at that. It's crazy, yeah. But again, all I can go off is the last time he was healthy.
Yeah, look, I'm with you.
It's definitely possible he doesn't start. Who knows?
So here's what's crazy to me: we have him now. I don't think that he's any good. We have him at 11% expected ownership on DraftKings. If he's starting and playing 30 minutes, that ownership number should be miles ahead of that.
You would think so, because he doesn't even need to be good. Like it in that one game he started, he had like 18 potential assists. Which, granted, I'm not saying take that with a grain of salt, but still, if he does get a start, I'm going to put him around close to 30, and I don't know how much more you need it. He's 0.91 fantasy point per minute guy on DraftKings. He's basically the dead min. I don't know. I think you can do a lot worse. If you get 23, 25 from Neto at minimum salary, it's not all that horrible.
No, it's not. I'll walk that back a little bit. Six more.
If O'Neal starts, then O'Neal can get those minutes and be the guy. I think that's why I didn't mention him earlier, though. I was assuming Neto would start.
Ex Cossack just over and over. I love it when Josh is wrong. Josh is 1,000% wrong. Yeah, I'm having the conversation. I'm sorry that I didn't knock this out of the park at 7:00 in the morning before the show. Jesus Christ. It's 11:11 a.m. right now. The whole point of this is for us to walk through it and figure out the mistakes and dial it back in.
O'Neal could definitely start, and Neto just backs Mitchell up. Again, all I'm doing is going off of the last game. Yeah. That doesn't mean that anything's going to happen. But by the way, with Gobert, 1.33 fantasy points per minute with Rubio off the floor this year. I don't necessarily know what it is because his assist rate is identical to when he's on, but something about Rubio being off has really helped Gobert in these spots. I don't disagree with you, though, that it'll likely be pretty difficult to get to because we talked about so much of that depth at the position.
Do you think you get to Gobert?
No, I said I don't think I'll be able to.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I must have misheard you there.
No, I agree. On another slate, I would have, I think, liked Gobert a lot more. But on this one, I don't think I get there. That's what I was saying.
So soft. I love it. Grow up in my KD voice. I made it I gave him more minutes. I agree that I'm probably wrong.
I thought it was a pretty reasonable discussion.
Yeah, so did I.
But I don't even think it's that you're probably wrong. It's just there are one of two ways that it can work. Really, there's one of two ways. He starts or he doesn't start. If he doesn't start, though, I'd still give him more than 18, I think. I would still, because you still need someone to back up Mitchell. And then I would expect Mitchell to play some minutes next to Neto.
Yeah.
Because O'Neal isn't going to play 48 minutes.
No.
So I would only expect Quinn Snyder, if this game's close, to run maybe an 8, maybe 9-man rotation. So I think Neto would still get to 20 or 22. But if he starts, I'd put him at 28 to 31.
I think that's super reasonable. If I have the same take about Royce O'Neal and Howell Neto at 6:45 tonight when it really matters,
right,
then feel free to lambaste me. But man, this is putting this stuff together real difficult. Not super simple. At when I do the minutes projections, I finished off the rotations at 7:30 this morning, completely blind on my own.
I was still sleeping.
Yeah. I like to have these discussions with my cohorts because more than one mind is always going to be helpful.
Isn't that what this show's for?
Yeah. Well, to me it is. To every other crazy person in chat, no.
I was up last night watching Alex Jones return on the Joe Rogan podcast. It's a 5-hour podcast, Josh.
I will not be listening to that.
Oh, you need to listen to that.
I will not be listening to that.
It is the. Are you serious? You have to.
No, it's already been deleted.
It is the wildest. Do you listen to do you watch or listen to the Joe Rogan Experience?
I do indeed.
Okay, and why did you delete this one?
I just know that I won't want to listen to it. I'll listen to one thing that Alex Jones will say, and I'll listen to him host his show when Joey Diaz was on and told the story about having a bag of weed taped to his crotch going through security. Other than that, I'm good. I don't need anything about Alex Jones in my life.
You don't need to like the guy. He's insane. That's what makes it so hilarious. Eddie Bravo, if you don't like Eddie Bravo, you're crazy. Eddie Bravo is off the deep end.
I'm out on Eddie Bravo.
Oh, you're crazy.
As soon as he's on a Fight Companion, I make sure that I don't listen or watch.
You don't think it's entertaining?
No.
You don't find that entertaining?
Not in the least.
Oh, see, we have different ideas of entertainment. Yeah, I don't believe. See, this is where we're different. I don't believe you have to like somebody to listen to something that is such an utter disaster. This was 5 hours of disaster.
I don't have 5 hours, man.
Oh, well, of course. I'm about an hour through it.
Yeah.
It was
too many podcasts for me, and most of them are about basketball.
Yeah. Just so we're clear. Okay. Just so we're clear. I'm not advocating for Alex Jones. I know people get salty about things. Okay. What I'm saying.
Yeah. I get where you're going here.
I shouldn't even have to say this, but in today's world, I'm saying that it was one of the most insane podcasts you will ever listen to. That's all I'm saying.
I hear you.
I feel like you have to send that disclaimer out nowadays.
I'm going to answer a weird question, and I'm going to disagree with X Cossack in chat because, well, one, I want to, but two, we got a weird question that says, do game times matter when it comes to choosing players? In a way, yes. It doesn't matter about like how you choose the players. If you're playing on DraftKings, it does matter how you put them into positions. In general, you want to put later starting games into the more open spots.
And Cruncher will do that for you.
Yeah, so guard, forward, utility on DraftKings, you generally want to try to fill those with guys that start later on in the day. So in a way, it doesn't have anything to do with their performance, but you do want to try to align yourself so that you're given more outs to make late night changes.
Absolutely. I mean, a good example would be yesterday. Let's assume that DraftKings didn't have MPE and Giannis was power forward eligible and LeBron was small forward eligible. And that game, both of those games start at 10 o'clock. You have Giannis in the power forward spot, and you can't swap him for LeBron. Ideally, you'd want him, again, like assuming that one of them is at a different position, both forward positions, though, you'd want him in the forward or utility spot.
Yep.
Even if there's now the important thing, a lot of people only do it if they think like, oh, he's questionable. Do it with anybody that is playing at a later game, because it doesn't necessarily mean that you're removing them because they're scratched an hour before the game. Another out of nowhere injury could happen where now you can replace somebody with a better play because you've given yourself more flexibility later in the night.
They were asking about FanDuel. No, it does not matter what time the game starts on FanDuel and how you.
Oh, they were asking about FanDuel? Oh,
apparently.
Oh, well, wait, how does that have it?
I don't know, like the position of the moon in the sky or some shit. Who knows?
Maybe I'm missing something.
I don't think that you are. Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
close out Denver.
Oh shit, we didn't even do Denver. We're at 2 hours.
I don't think it'll take that long, actually, at all.
Jokic is pretty popular. I would rather get to Towns, but I understand why he is popular. I'm not paying $8,400 for Paul Millsap on FanDuel. I think that you could work in Malik Beasley as a punt for $3,900. I'm having a really hard time figuring out how to take guys from Denver because there's just too many bodies.
Yeah, Jokic I like. Outside of that, Millsap's in that price range where, especially with center eligibility on DraftKings, you're not going to get there. At least I don't see me getting there. We finally got a decent Will Barton game the other day, so that was pretty cool. I will happily jump off today. I'll go one and done there. And pretty much everything else is a toss-up. By the way, pretty funny. Torrey Craig only played 12 minutes in that last game against OKC.
That was sort of what that's going to make me sound like such a dick. That's basically what I expected.
I thought you said on Tuesday that you thought he was going to get more.
I mean, I had him in like the mid, like the 14 range. I didn't think, I never put him like into the 20s or anything like that.
Oh, okay.
No. I thought he was just going to play instead of not playing like he had for the two previous games.
Right.
So yeah, that it sort of shook out the way that I was expecting. Juancho didn't play, and then they took minutes from Monty Morris. Once I talked to Adam, that was sort of what we landed on. So I think he and I were in a similar spot.
It didn't really affect much anyway,
whether
you thought he was going to play this or that, because you're still going to get enough from Barton, and then you're not playing. I wasn't Morris, Beasley, or Harris anyway.
Yeah, do I get to take a victory lap on Will Barton?
Sure.
I got fucking bludgeoned for that one. And he
did you?
Smashed. Yeah. How could you take Will Barton? He's been garbage lately. Blah, 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 blah.
He was like 4,900 on FanDuel on a 3-game slate.
Yeah, I know. That's why I advocated for him.
Against the fastest paced team in the league over the last month and a half.
But he's been playing bad, man. How do you take him then?
because guys can be playing bad and be cheap and still be worth a I mean, obviously, we don't need to get into that. But yeah, not really enthusiastic about Barton here. He he's still cheap, but probably not getting much of that. And then with Jamal Murray's another take it or leave it guy. I'm not I have him as a decent play, but nothing outstanding.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I have for
That,
Denver.
I'm the same way right now. Barton went 7x 34 and 34 and a quarter on DK. There we go. Alrighty. I think we're good. NBA Strategies, the promo code. Hit that like button. I know I sound salty. DFS Donovan. I'm not. I love this shit. It's fun. It's all in good fun. I'm not actually angry about anything. Job is awesome.
It is.
Not sensitive. Your YouTube chat. It's like the lowest form of everybody on the planet.
All right, relax.
Okay, sorry. YouTube comments are worse.
Relax. Let's get out of here.
I'm smiling. You can't see my face right now. I'm smiling as I say it.
Don't get salty, Josh.
No, not salty at all. This is so much fun. There we go. They got me. Hey now. Chat being on a delay is the best thing for us because I just can sit here and know that 20 seconds later, it's gonna cause havoc.
Yep. You just patiently wait for it to pop up.
Nah, I love you guys. Even the people that hate me love talking smack constantly. It doesn't matter what comes out of my mouth. It's fun. It's so much fun.
Why would anyone hate you?
I could probably give you like 1,000 reasons. What's really funny is that they don't actually know me. They could hate me for way more reasons if they knew me like publicly.
Right. Yeah. Makes sense.
Game Theory hates me the most by far. He just comes in with the great as usual, Laffy. Oh, God.
Too good. Thanks, Game Theory.
Alrighty. Shout out to Thrive. Like the show. Comment and say hi. I love you all. Later today, Adam will have the deep dive out. His final piece of content until he heads to the West Coast to try to take down the DK chip. So best of luck to Adam there.
Is it you and me tonight?
No, it's Adam tonight. He leaves sometime tomorrow.
I thought he said he's doing the deep dive, the article. My fault. Okay, gotcha.
Deeper dive.
Got it.
Adam and Laffy tonight, 5 p.m. And then myself and Fast Eddie, 6 p.m. Closing it out, taking us up to lock, where I will talk about how much Royce O'Neal is the shit and how Neto's not going to start.
He might not. Definitely might not.
I'm sure he will. That's everything. 2 hours, 6 games. You can't beat it. Where else will you find this level of content? Nowhere. You good?
Yeah, I'm good to go. Fun show. I think what are we at? 2 hours on the dot?
2:03, 6, 7. Yeah, just over.
Could have been worse.
Drop that Royce shit now. I'm not listening to that at 6 o'clock. Alrighty. Best of luck, everybody. We're out of here. I love you all. Mwah.